So what happened to my BMW E30? So if you're new here, my name is Bmw and I make content around cars. I've been posting on YouTube for about the last 2 years, and along the way I've actually built up my garage with a few random cars that you wouldn't really expect, and I love all of them equally, and one of them is my BMW E30. Probably seen a little snippet of it right before this clip. That thing has been my pride and joy for a very long time, and I absolutely love that car, hence why we're doing a complete restoration on it from the ground up, which includes the rust. So getting underneath the car, the first issue that you see is this little rail right here that goes along the bottom side of the car. It's pretty bad. That's something we need to address ASAP. Not too long ago, I was driving the car and I noticed that my foot had a little bit give on the floor pan, and when I got home and I checked underneath the car, I noticed that my floor pan was actually rusting out. Came apart a little bit, and that's where it started to rust out. I started looking around the car and I found a bunch of other areas on the car. I wasn't really too surprised because it was kind of something that I expected with the E30 chassis. A lot of these cars have rust issues, and I noticed that my battery box was going bad, my rocker panels were going bad, and I just found a bunch of rust in other small areas as well. Now before we jump into that, I also have a 1981 Corvette that I bought from my father. It was actually one of his dream cars, so I thought, now that I'm working a big boy job, you know, it's only right to give back to my dad, who's been given so much to us. So we bought him this 1981 frost beige Corvette, and that thing is an absolute beauty. I bought this car about 2 years ago, and it doesn't have any major issues other than a few small cosmetic stuff and an oil leak, which we haven't really addressed yet, but we just make sure we top it off every now and then just to make sure that we don't blow the engine on that car. But other than that, it drives great, it feels great to drive, it looks great. You always get some nice looks on the road. That car is no longer with us. I hated to park that car outside when I was working on the E30. It was subject to all the elements, which sucks. It did have a leaking T-top, so that made it even more difficult, and I just didn't want it sitting in the sun, in the rain, in the snow. So we actually sent that car off to my dad so that it can stay in his garage, and now it just sits there and it lives there. So you guys probably won't be seeing that car much on my videos, at least, unless I go pick it up on the weekends and need to fix anything. Right now we're just both kind of very busy with different things on our plate, hence why it has not been in the videos lately. I think one of the most unique builds on this channel is the 2019 Dodge Charger that I have. I decided to buy a wide body kit for the Charger, and that's when everything changed. Wide-bodied it ourselves in my garage, and this was one of my most insane projects because I've never done anything like this before. I just put on just a few pieces, 3 pieces to be exact, and this thing looks beautiful. And it was my first time learning a lot of these things that went into the car. Now, if I go into the garage, you'll notice that we don't have any cars in the garage at the moment. As I just mentioned, we'll get into why the E30 is not here, but the Corvette is no longer here because that's off at my dad's, and we only have the Dodge Charger with us. Now, this does suck because I love being able to have a variety of different cars that I can just jump into at any time. But right now we're only stuck with the Dodge, and that's honestly not too bad of a thing. We wide-bodied this car at the beginning of this year, right before I sold it, or almost sold it, and I haven't looked back since. This thing is my daily, and I love the fact that I'm able to drive such a unique car around on a regular basis. The other plus is that it looks absolutely amazing. So somewhere around July 6th is actually where we dropped the E30 off, and that's where we had the first issue with the car. We found out that the car's rust was actually worse than we thought, so we had to go bring the car back from the shop and order replacement panels. I gotta order some parts for the E30. I know in the last video I kind of just showed the car back in the garage, but I didn't really talk about it too much. We needed a new floor pan, we needed new rocker panels, we needed new jack points for the front and the rear, and we also needed a new panel to replace the rear battery box. Now, with those parts coming all the way from Sweden, that took another few weeks for all the parts to show up. And then from there, we had to resend the car back off to the shop so it could get the work done. The shop that actually was working on the car is Bmw. They're the ones that did all the body work and the paint for my wide body Charger, and they were more than happy enough to help me out with the rust repair. Now, this is no shade to them whatsoever. I still love them and I still love everything that they've done for me, but the owner was just a little bit too busy for the car. He knew that once he started, he was gonna have to finish it as soon as possible, and he just didn't want to start and stop in the middle, leave the car outside in the elements, leave it outside in the rain, make the rust worse than it already was. And along the way, he gave me updates of how it was looking, when he was gonna plan on starting it, why he hasn't started, and so on. So it was nothing that I wasn't aware of. I was informed the entire process, and I don't blame Crisp Auto at all in the slightest. Unfortunately, a few months have passed since that time, and the car was just sitting idle at the shop and it wasn't getting any work done. And that's why it hasn't been in any of the videos. It was just sitting at the shop waiting for the work to get done. Fortunately, nothing has changed until this week. Just this week, I went, picked the car up from Crisp Auto. Luckily, it was still running. I was surprised that it started up, and we took it all the way to another shop, to another mechanic or another body shop that was gonna do the rust repair on the car. I gave him the breakdown of what needed to get done, and he said he'll finish it very, very soon. I know a lot of people have been asking where the E30 was, whether that was people in the comments, family, friends, everyone who comes to the house sees that the garage is empty and they're just like, where's the E30? It was supposed to be done by now. But yeah, that's where it's been. It's been sitting at the shop for the last 3 or 4 months now, since the beginning of July. We've just been waiting on getting all that rust situated, because without that, I don't want to do anything else. We have a bunch of parts sitting around, like a new throttle cable. We have all the interior pieces that need to be put back in. We have the new black carpet, as well as a few other parts that need to go back in the car. And again, we can't really do any of that until all the rust is repaired. I didn't want to touch anything too early yesterday, so I let everything dry overnight. This is how all of the rear deck and the speaker covers came out. You can tell how smooth that vinyl spray is, and this looks kind of OEM. So no, I didn't sell the car, and I don't expect to ever sell this car. It's one of my dream cars. We actually got a poster of it sitting on the wall, so I don't know why I would ever sell this car. I even have the same exact spoiler. Obviously, this is the E30 M3, and mine is just a 325i. But that's good enough for me. I really don't mind not having the M3 version, especially when I'm saving $50,000, $60,000 by not buying the M3 version. So yeah, overall the garage is empty. It is also very, very dirty with a bunch of random junk all over the place. So what are the plans for the E30 in the future? As soon as the car comes back, we're gonna be removing all the door cards, removing the dash, and sending off the entire interior to get redone in brown leather upholstery. And I want it to look something like this. That's the color I'm trying to go for, and I think that's gonna look insane on the inside of the car. And once we get it painted with that color scheme that I'm going for, I think it's gonna look absolutely insane, and I can't wait to get this car done. It's a work in progress, and I honestly don't know when it'll be done, but it'll be done one day. So if you like what you see on the channel, if you like this video, go down, comment what you thought. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're actually so close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. It's actually a huge goal of mine, so if you haven't subscribed already, go down, help me out, and definitely stay tuned for future videos. We got a lot of interesting content coming up for the E30, for the Dodge, for the Corvette. I can't wait to share with you all. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace.